Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends. While I was listening what Erkki Tuomioja was saying there, I thought for a moment that the only reason why I have been invited here is that my wife is a historian. But I wanted to advertise that I have some family qualifications to be here. And I want to also to thank for the invitation to speak in this conference today. Erkki Tuomioja has once again shown his wisdom in bringing together the historians. I am happy to see old friends and distinguished historians among us today and hope that with this gathering the importance of history in conflict resolution gets the international recognition it deserves. Nearly a year ago I attended the founding meeting of the Historians Without Borders here at the University of Helsinki. I wanted to be part of that meeting because I share the concerns of today's organizers. History is too often sidelined, manipulated, and even ignored in conflict resolution. In peace mediation, the processes normally represent two partial versions of the past. Parties are often not able to see history objectively, and common interpretation of the past is missing. This is part of a common phenomenon when we talk about disagreements between human beings. Let it be divorce process or violent conflict. We want to turn the past into our advantage. Admitting mistakes is something the human nature tries to avoid. History is strongly present in conflict resolution. Something has happened in the history, near or far, that has led a situation to escalate into violent conflict. Historical events and the way parties interpret those are part of every peace process. But history should be seen only as a part of a bigger picture, not as something that defines the process. It is more likely that the abuse of history happens in countries that are not democratic or do not respect universal human rights and freedom of speech. We can certainly find examples of democratic countries that have misinterpreted or denied history. Dear friends, how can we use the knowledge and expertise of historians in conflict resolution? I see many opportunities. The first is to involve historians more in actual negotiating processes. When doing this, it is important to remember one particular cornerstone of peace talks. Sometimes it is not possible to tackle all historical events and facts in peace negotiations. There are often things that are too difficult for the parties to discuss, and these can become an obstacle to the bigger process. Excluding these issues from the talks might be the only way forward. This happened, for instance, in the Aceh peace negotiations in Indonesia, when part of the past crimes had to be excluded from the peace talks. This does not mean that these wrongdoings should not be addressed, and it is important to make sure that the peace agreement results into a mechanism where past can be dealt with later. The second useful thing would be to provide impartial analysis that can be used in conflict resolution. International Crisis Group does significant work in this field, providing first-class analysis and information on what is happening in different countries. These analyses also function as conflict prevention. If inequality is allowed to worsen in any country, there is a danger for conflict to erupt. Having served as chairman of International Crisis Group, I know that sometimes these analysts work in difficult conditions, which makes me respect the organization greatly. Seeking for the truth, past or present, can sometimes be a risky profession. Impartial and fact-oriented analyses about the past are useful tools in conflict prevention. At best, the analysis provides information about the past mistakes and successes. It can also show what changes have been crucial in building democratic society. My organization, CMI, has hosted several groups from conflict or post-conflict countries who want to learn about our societal model in Finland. The Nordic model is the best model we have in the world, and Finland is an especially interesting case study. As a poor country that had undergone civil war, Finland has a different history from other Nordic countries. The civil war taught that we need to build a fair and just society where everyone has a chance to participate in a political life and where education and healthcare are provided for everyone. This brought the country together, and Finland was united in its defense when Soviet Union attacked our country in 1939. Society based on equal opportunities is conflict prevention and successful state building at best. The delegations we get from conflict countries prove this point. What we have also learned at CMI is that Finnish origin is an asset for peace mediator. Our history and education makes us Finns credible negotiators. Learning from what past generations have gone through gives us particular sensitivity to understand conflicts and what people experience in war. We have the best primary schools in the world, and they provide the same education for all our children. We learn early in the childhood about equality. Our society provides us with values that negotiator needs, and we should encourage our young generations to choose this career path. Third important task of historians in conflict resolution is taking part in present discussions in the forums where impartial and fact-oriented information is most needed. The misuse of or misinterpretation of history is not something that has happened only in the past. It happens all the time in many places. Social media has become a powerful tool in conflicts, and we have seen that the ones who use it most efficiently are always not the ones who seek for peace. Especially young people, who often are majority in conflict areas, might not be familiar with newspapers or television news, but they have mobile phones and they use social media. Social media often provides news in seconds or minutes instead of offering thorough explanation to different phenomena. This is especially harmful when we talk about complex issues such as conflicts. We have all witnessed how these things get overly simplified and blind people from seeing the bigger picture. Unless we reach people in their own forums and give them alternative ways of seeing the world, we might risk losing people to short-sighted and extreme thinking. CMI works with a number of conflicts, and we often see in our work how past grievances prevent parties from getting into negotiation tables. It normally takes at least a generation to heal from a conflict, something we have seen in Finland. It is a relief that our youth no longer talks about reds and whites, whereas in my generation knew all too well who was who. Sometimes forgetting is the best way forward, as long as we do not ignore what we should learn from the past. In Finland, forgetting and moving on has been made easier by addressing the root causes of the conflict and making the country egalitarian. Dear friends, I must say that personally I have been very lucky of having had the opportunity to live in a fair and just society that has given me the chance to develop my capabilities. Frustration and anger occur when people are not given this opportunity. That is why successful conflict resolution must always result into a better future for everyone. I thank you.